A prayer, an Indian prayer, my mother brought back from Ontario. A prayer, an Indian prayer, on a bookmark from Ontario.
It's a prayer, an Indian prayer, my mother brought back from Ontario. A prayer, an Indian prayer, on a bookmark from Ontario. Great Spirit, don't let me judge my brother till I've walked a mile in his moccasin. Great Spirit, don't let me judge no other till I've walked a mile in his moccasin. It's a prayer, an Indian prayer, my mother brought back from Ontario. A prayer, an Indian prayer, on a
Let me stand
bookmark
against
from
the weather shoes of
Ontario.
wood or Spanish land.
Great Spirit, don't let me judge my brother till I've walked a mile in his
free as a
moccasin.
feather.
Great Spirit, don't let me judge no other till I've walked a mile in his moccasin. It's a prayer, an Indian prayer, my mother brought back from Ontario. A prayer, an Indian prayer, on a bookmark from Ontario.
Just for a moment in my gladness, let me taste another sadness.
When a child I played a childish game where the Indians fell. Now the starship brightening eyes of young ones with aliens duel. And when Chief Red Rock died at dawn, the star-bright Jedi Knight was born. Where are the changes? Wherein lay the dangers? There are no strangers. There are no others, only brothers. And safe within our daydreams all, from our fledgling nests we fall towards the changes, wherein lay the dangers. There are no strangers, there are no others, only brothers. In their eyes I see a loss of innocence, wonder and light,
Which, in a sense, is as it must be.
try to resist though we might. From desperate Dan to Superman, heroes in our minds we ran. there are no others, only brothers. Life is a delicate thing. It flies like a dove with the sun on its wing, out through the rainbows and storms. A journey we take, on the winds we are born, on the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer we'll follow our Time is a tumbling train through the meadows of marbles to rocky terrain. Destination ahead out of sight. From the talons of darkness we burst into light. On the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer we'll follow our Time is a dealer, that old wheeler stealer, but still we have to take the ride. Love the romancer, that sly shadow dancer, a friend who's here and now for life. Yet time is a traveler's friend, all our trembling hopes to the future we send, and hope is the answer to all, the flame in the darkness of destiny's hall. On the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer, on the wing and a prayer we'll follow our
They're tearing down the buildings where we used to hide and seek subversive pleasure. In bygone haze of thoughtless leisure, this was our arena. Scene of battle-teary toddlers, learning hard the ways of losing, choosing, without recognition, what we would become.
In swaggering days of forced bravado, with our minds inflamed by boredom, we would track the desperados, walk the tightrope of our fear, hang like leeches from the ledges on the edge of growing up. They're tearing down the buildings where we used to hide away. They're tearing down the buildings now. The cowboy's had his day. From renegades and Comancheros, our trembling heroes here, on bicycles with sheriff stars, me and the Cotswold kid, me and the Cotswold kid. Oh, to kick the can that ricocheted those rattling ruins, crashed and clattered on the cobbles like a demon in the darkness, like a demon in the darkness, dancing madly to its death. They're tearing down the buildings where we used to hide away. They're tearing down the buildings now. The cowboy's had his day. In barley high as a sheepdog's eye, our future heroes hid. With campfire songs we sang along, me and the Cotswold kid, me and the Cotswold kid.
That sound comes singing as I stand outside the rubble where the builder's sign is gleaming like a cross against the evening. As childhood faded gradually, spring blossom falling from the tree, time crept like dry rot in the rafters, crawled like ivy on the old stone, taught us we were not alone, yet cast us to the great unknown.
When my words fly the ceiling, float away like a child's balloon. When the strength of the spotlight blinds me, like the sun in the afternoon, then I think of you, waiting backstage as the crowd passes through, and the things that you say. When you ask me, did things go okay today? Read a book I rescued yesterday from the cobwebs at a second-hand stall. The story ran from page to page till the characters bowed and the curtain fall. He was young, she was 17. He was young, and she was everything. Had a line from a friend, good friend of yesterday. She said how she loved my letters. She knew I I'd make it anyway. I was young, she was 17. I was young and she was everything. Then I think of you, waiting backstage as the crowd passes through, and the things that you say when you ask me, did things go okay today? She said, darling, I feel lost. One more winter, one more frost.
He said, now the chill set in. Let's hibernate and wait for spring. Love, 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 life. Love, 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 life.
She said, we're just so mismatched, and I can't live semi-detached.
He said, why so much distress? I'll leave my forwarding address. Love, 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 life. Love, 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 life. When love flew out the window and our hopes crawled out the door, we lost all commitment, stopped trying, that's for sure. If you're not just indifferent, we stopped reaching for the moon. Two more beaten butterflies in search of a cocoon.
She said, sweetheart, must you go? It's getting warmer, it might snow.
He said, honey, it's absurd. All it needs is once more word.
She said,
Stay, 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 stay for the night. Stay, 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 love for life. When love flew out the window and our hopes crawled out the door, I walked the streets for hours, just waiting for
feel lost. Lost. Oh, but it's cold outside, and suddenly I found that winter's all around this town I knew not long ago. But how it's changed to winter, snows from summer blue. There's nothing left of all we knew. There's only ragged clouds in view, reminding me of you. And now that winter's here, there's nothing I can say to chase these dreary thoughts away that linger deep inside. Oh, how I wish that I could hide away somewhere when all the world seems so unfair, where everything I see is there, reminding me of you. And if I could do anything, become a prince or an elfin king, or walk in time like a Doctor Who, I'd say no, I'd have you. Maybe some other girl someday may come along and tell me we belong to pictures in a child's scribbling slate, and we could put it down to fate. So turn again, for win or lose, you know that it's the same. Those loving words, they still remain, reminding me of you.
The ancient mariner set sail with a sense of deja vu. His place in English literature kidnapped by the grisly crew, including Long John Silver and Admiral Benbow. All as white as Dover, so they've been so long below.
And away we go.
The breeze bites in the rigging and the weather is set fair. We're up to find old England and the Fighting Temeraire. Meanwhile, Turner turns a corner looking strange and quite bereft. all of his contemporaries have been laid to rest. He wanders down to Soho and into Chinatown, watching long-legged girls and sailors parading up and down. With all these thoughts of England past, his eyes fill with despair. He is gazing at a photograph of the Fighting Temeraire. Lord Nelson casts a quizzical eye upon the streets below, with everybody dashing round like starlings in the snow. A policeman stops the traffic and the crazed commuters blaze and fall into a trance while fixing their communal gaze upon that ghostly galleon gliding through Trafalgar Square. Hey, has anybody out there seen the Fighting Temeraire? Fighting Temeraire. Then Nelson turns a blind eye and the pigeons turn to stone. In time and fright they're frozen, Turner grabs a megaphone. I'll show you where to look, my lads, I know just what to do. I've drawn the sketch, I've seen the film, I think it's coming true. Just strap me to the masthead and I'll take you there, I swear. Just you steer towards the sunset and the Fighting Temeraire. Fighting Temeraire. Sitting in this room and sunlight stripes the floor, when chattering on the ether comes the news once more to war. As iron-laden men of steel, even men of straw, they all set sail for distant lands to fight God knows what for. With all these thoughts of England now, my heart fills with despair. We've learned nothing from the Fighting Temeraire. Through centuries of smoke and steel, my eyes fill with despair. As I sail into a photograph of the Fighting Temeraire. Fighting Temeraire. Oh, Fighting Temeraire. The ancient mariner set sail with a sense of déjà vu. Déjà vu, déjà vu, déjà vu, déjà vu, déjà vu, déjà vu.
Far along the skyline go, the fields love your faces, saffron petals in the snow, the frost wears coloured laces, shelter neath the frightened eyes of wise men and tailors, where only the heron flies on shores of St. Xavier. Far along the sea line go. The sun will fill your sandals with seashells as sea winds blow. Cut hair in tangles, shelter neath those frightened eyes of wise men and sailors, where only the heron flies, shores of Saint Xavier's. Far along the sea line go. The sun will burn your feathers, but hold your dress when rough winds blow. You will stand the weather, shelter neath those beating wings. The seagull bears no failure, but only the heron flies the shores of Saint Xavier's, the shores of Saint Xavier's. In anticipation, as the cello tuned a string, a piano chord was given in an empathetic ring, and the backdrop was a stone wall where a mason carved and raised a figure throned in majesty to represent the god he praised.
But vandals of a bygone age had defaced the mason's fame by smashing all the features. Just an outline now remained,
and the piano played a counterpoint to the cello's sad refrain, as Robin played the violin and Elgar lived again. Deceived me as the image on the wall became clearer than reality, depicting the one true God of all, with a smile of sweet serenity, postured ready to embrace the good, the bad, the indifferent, in fact the whole of the human race.
Then in through the wall walked a soldier, dressed in a rust-brown suede, and he signaled to his comrades to enter center stage.
And they shouted, "Bastard papist!" in a manner most profane, as Robin played the violin and Elgar lived again. Seemed to notice as the figure on the stage fired a matchlock musket at the carving in a rage, and the shot fell in the fourth bar of the second overture, shattering God's countenance, whose face fell to the floor, and for a moment there was silence. Then with a rumble from the Steinway Grand,
the butt of a musket fell with a crack, smashing into God's right hand.
And they echoed, "Bastard papist!" and for purity struck again, as Robin played the violin and Elgar lived again. stars were sounded, and we counted the final rest, and the soldiers kicked at the rubble, and then turning to be blessed by an audience applauding, and one or two called for more.
So a raw cadet took a statuette and he smashed it to the floor.
On returning to reality, I didn't quite know what to do, as the captain beat me about the head, yelling, "This is 1642!" And he called me a bastard papist in a manner full of scorn. With Robin all those years ahead, and Elgar not yet born. With Robin all those years ahead, and Elgar not yet born.
Was it just another dream? Or did I glimpse the truth? That I had been accused of trying to stand aloof. They took me from the courthouse to the lands of midnight pale, to try and find the secret of the sacred Clockwork Nightingale. The king and queen were waiting in the forest sacred still, within the moonstone clearing, to catch that mystic trill. Wise and nobles bowed their heads, while peasants cowered so frail, and listened to the secret of the sacred Clockwork Nightingale. Oh no, I screamed in anger, you people all are free, vile bird of steel feathers, why don't you let them be? No one seemed to see or hear, it was all to no avail. Their eyes were crucified by the sacred Clockwork Nightingale. And yet my words were heeded, and the eagle did appear, swooped into the clearing where the people crouched in fear. Down upon that bird of worship stole the clockwork key, dropped it in the lake of night that floats to some dark sea. The sky tore wide with anger, and the water screamed and howled. The forest writhed in agony as the midnight monsters prowled. silence touched the moment. The midnight pale was bled. We all held hands, we laughed and sang. The nightingale was dead. We all held hands, we laughed and sang. We all held hands, we laughed and sang. We all held hands, we laughed and sang. Just can't go on writing songs neither of us can play. And I have turned so many times, but this time I'm so low. I don't believe in anyone who says you've gotta go on with the show. You've gotta go on with the show. Once again the lights go down, the crowd they scream and call. Alone my confidence is weak, there's nothing there at all. And I have turned so many times, but this time I'm so low. I don't believe in anyone who says you've gotta go on with the show. You've gotta go on with the show. Once again the house lights dim, the mask begins to fall. Alone my confidence too weak for one more curtain call. And I have turned so many times, but this time I'm so anyone who says you've gotta go on with the show. You've gotta go